Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. I'll try to get that word out, potential as a coach. Do me a huge favor. Go ahead and give us a shout out. Jump in the chat right now. Tell us where you're joining us from, maybe something that you're excited about. And also, one of the things that I'm inviting over the next couple of weeks is some kind of a limiting belief about money that you know that you have. I'd love for you to be able to share it so that we can actually include it in the series, because this series is actually for you, but it's also for your friends. Let me say hello to some people on here. There's Lynette from Virginia. Welcome, Lynette. If you would, everyone, just really quickly jump inside of the chat and or inside of the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, jump in there right now. Tell us where you're joining us from, and maybe one thing that you're excited about that you feel life and momentum on, or maybe something that you're hoping to really gain out of this series that we're starting with tonight. Let me say hello to a few more people. Sylvia from Nigeria, welcome, Sylvia. There's Joan from Bakersfield. Welcome, Joan. Let's see who else I need to say hello to really quick. Ebony from Maryland. Kimberly from Chicago. Diane from South Carolina. Excited to be here so I can learn more about how to think about money. Excellent. Lynn is joining us from Vermont, enjoying our coaching journey. Teresa from Kissimmee, Florida. Harvey from South Florida. Welcome. Juliet from Atlanta. And I can't see who this is, probably because you're joining it from the Power Lunch group. Welcome, because it only puts Facebook user in there. I know I have issues with limiting beliefs about money. And Chandler, Arizona is in the house. Corrine from Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. Excellent. If you're just joining us, we're just saying hello to everybody really quick. So if you want, go ahead and jump in the comments. The comments do us a really good really good thing for us. It tells Facebook that we're doing a good job. Also tells YouTube that we're doing a good job. And if you take a second and like this post or share it to people that you think they could really benefit from the series, I would highly appreciate it, because we just want to do as good a job as we possibly can. Rosetta is joining us from Michigan. Harvey said, always have had the feeling that I could be more successful than my father, couldn't be more successful than my father, or I wouldn't get his approval. I appreciate that. Stacy from Kansas. Teresa says, I'm interested to see if any of my views about money have been holding me back without me knowing it. Becca's joining us from Canada as well. Good to see Canada in the house tonight. So good. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start chatting about what we're talking about. Really, about every year and a half, something like that, I circle back to the series. This series called Bad Money Beliefs That Keep You Broke. And it's an important series because in all the years that I've been working with coaches, it is something that I see that if a coach has a failure to launch, if a coach has a struggle, they're struggling financially, if they're struggling getting business or any of those other things, I usually can see that this belief is not really far behind. And what we're going to do is that for the next several weeks, at least the next like month and a half, is I'm going to go after some of the most popular, if you want to say popular, most common bad money beliefs that I see that coaches have. And honestly, these bad money beliefs are going to be pretty prevalent amongst people in general. And so what I would say is that even if you're not a coach, you're probably going to benefit from this series as well. Now, what is it? Why are we doing this series, and why is it so important? And does your belief about money actually impact you and keep you broke or keep you from being able to succeed? Well, it's really easy. I'll show you this really quickly. Whoops, I stuck the wrong screen on. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to show you this really quick picture, and maybe this will give you a real idea of what I'm talking about here. If we can say that right here, you see this little area right here? Let me actually go to a marker. If you can imagine that this is a goal, and for you guys as coaches, obviously your goal is to succeed as a coach, is to grow a coaching practice, whatever. And let's say that you are over here living life right now, however you're living life, and you want to get to your goal. But there's this barrier that's in the way. And what is the barrier that's actually in the way? Well, it's really simple. The barrier is what we would say is the limiting belief that is going to stop you, because here's the interesting thing about limiting beliefs. Why is it important to know what your limiting beliefs are? Because the interesting thing is that your limiting belief about money, what you believe about money, will keep you from being able to get it. It won't allow you to succeed. It will level you off in your success. It will actually put a ceiling, a lid on your potential. This is what I see happening with coaches all the time. If you have a bad belief about money, if you have a bad relationship about money, because here's the thing, pretty much anybody that I have ever met in my life has an emotional reaction when it comes to money. There's a few things that can always elicit an emotional reaction out of people. Money is one of those things. And usually it's a negative reaction. Usually it's not a positive reaction. What if you had a positive reaction every time you had to hear about money? Every time somebody wanted to talk about money? Anytime anybody wanted to bring money up to you or talk to you about something that costs something? What if it actually brought a positive experience, like that you actually felt good to talk about money? Wouldn't that change your life? Like you actually had a positive reaction. But reality is that most people don't have a positive reaction when it comes to money. There's a lot of beliefs and there's a lot of thoughts about money, because the belief that we're really talking about today is the bad belief that money corrupts me. And this whole thing of money corrupting us, listen, if you believe that money will corrupt you, unless you're looking to corrupt yourself, most people aren't looking to corrupt themselves, right? So if you believe that money would corrupt you, you know what you're going to do is that you're not going to allow yourself to ever have money. You'll do something. You will self-sabotage. You will sabotage yourself to prevent yourself from ever being successful and having money if you believe that it corrupts you. This is the way that beliefs function in our life. Or you'll stop, or you won't follow through, or you'll get about this close and you'll take a step back and everything else. And here's the thing about this. Where does this belief actually originate? Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I think that every one of us who believes that money corrupts people, you might have had a bad experience with somebody who is really wealthy. You might have had a bad experience with somebody who had a lot of money. I mean, let's face it, one of the things that I always, when I'm talking to our coaches about some of these things, and I go after mindset and belief stuff all the time with coaches, because it's always up here. It's never a how issue. Your issue with being successful as a coach, making money, crushing it, never has to do with your ability. Never does. All of you have the ability. You all have the how right now. Some of you are actually learning the how from me right now in our Jumpstart program. How is never the issue. What the issue is what we believe up here. It's what's going on up here, and whether or not we believe that we deserve it, can succeed in it, believe that someone would pay us. There's all of these things that come along with it. And some of these come out of, in many cases, negative experiences that we have pain surrounding money. So one of those things that I would tell our coaches to, just as a little quiz, is if you ever had like a car pull out in front of you in traffic, but it wasn't just any car. It was like a Mercedes, and the person was in a convertible Mercedes, or a Bentley, or a Ferrari, or a BMW, or an Audi, or whatever, and they just pull right in front of you. What was your first reaction? Was your first reaction like, oh, that person must not have seen me? Or was your first reaction, oh, that person was a little bit rude, they're not that great of a driver? Or was the reaction, man, these rich people, they always just think that they own the road and they can do whatever they want? And see, if we have thoughts, if we have experiences when we are around wealthy people and some of those other things, it's probably coming from a deeper belief, is that we think that money somehow corrupts people. Some of you may have a religious background and you learned in some kind of a way that money corrupts people. But actually, the thing that you learned in church or wherever it wasn't really that money is the root of all evil. What was the real Bible verse out of that? It was the love of money is the root of all evil. But we usually take it to mean that money, because we probably know, we might have even known someone who changed after they got money. Some of you might have actually lost a parent or a family member because they got a lot of money, and you know what they did? They trotted on into the sunset. Or someone got remarried, they suddenly came into money and they didn't give it to their kids. They gave it to their new family or whatever. Or you've seen somebody get a lot of money and you know what? It changed them. And they moved to a different neighborhood and they changed friends and they became all highfalutin and all of that other stuff. Well, here's the thing, is that for all of those stories that we have, we also know stories of people who have won the lottery and they didn't move out of the house that they lived in for 50 years. They still cut their own grass. They still do their own thing. We know plenty of stories as well. Those don't get as much press, but there's plenty of people whose money has never changed them. So what are we really saying here? How do we go? First of all, let me show you how you go to work on a limiting belief, and then we're going to talk about this specific limiting belief today. First of all, what we have to understand is that to change a limiting belief, it's really not that hard at all. For those of you who think it's hard to change a limiting belief, it's really not. All we need is a wrecking ball to take this wall down, because the limiting belief is going to prevent you from ever having money. And the limiting belief is going to keep you from being able to hold on to money. You won't hold on to it very long either. The wrecking ball that we're really talking about is this wrecking ball of doubt. That's all I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks with regard to this series, is that I am going to attack. I am going to purposely attack, go after these limiting beliefs that you have, because all I need to do is to bring a significant amount of doubt and start bringing cracks to this wall and removing them. And you know what you're able to do? Once this thing is out of the way, you know what you're able to do? You're able to get to your goal. You're able to have the thing that you want at that point. So let's go after this one today. That limiting belief that money corrupts, that I don't want too much money. I don't really want money because money will corrupt you. Well, here's how we're going to go after that. Trusty picture right here. Now, this guy on the left, we're going to call him Paul. Okay. All right. And we're going to call this guy Polio. How about that? Paul and Polio. We got two people on here, Paul and Polio. Now, Paul and Polio, let me tell you about both of them. Paul and Polio both live in the same neighborhood. Both have lived below the poverty line their entire life. They've been poor. They've watched their family really struggle. They've watched their parents work multiple jobs, and they're not in the best neighborhood. Lots of sketchy kinds of things, sketchy kinds of situations and everything else. But Paul and Polio have had they've been next door neighbors their entire life. They've had the same kinds of parents doing the same kinds of jobs, same kind of income, same kind of difficulties and struggles every day in their life. Meanwhile, we're just going to pretend that Harvey came to our neighborhood because Harvey's watching. Harvey comes to our Paul and Polio's neighborhood. And Harvey's just, I don't know what he's doing in the neighborhood, in the sketchy neighborhood that Paul and Polio live in, but Harvey's walking through it, but something happens. You know what happens? Is that Harvey loses his wallet. How unfortunate is this? Harvey's wallet drops out, and what does Harvey do? He doesn't do anything. He just leaves. He doesn't even know it's gone. Meanwhile, Paul and Polio find the wallet. Now, Paul, again, both of them had the exact same experience, and this is Harvey's wallet. Now, Harvey is a high-end coach. He's making money. He's got great credit, everything else. They go up. They both find the wallet at the same time. And Polio opens the wallet, and what does he find? Well, Harvey's got $100 in cash. And Polio's like, this is the best day of my life. I've got it made. Opens it up, $100 in cash. Polio's like, dude, I know what I'm going to do with this money immediately. But after he looks a little bit longer, you know what he finds? He finds credit cards, and he finds a debit card. Then he finds Harvey's social security card and Harvey's driver's license. So Polio's like, oh, this gets even better. Not only is there cash, I can use these credit cards. I'm heading over to Best Buy right now. I can open up a new Amazon.com account and I can order. And within 3 hours, Polio can go on a rampage and completely max out all the credit cards and take all the money out before Harvey even realizes that it's gone. That's Polio. And for those of you who believe that money corrupts you, then hey, Polio is your test case, right? But here's the other side of things, because we also have Paul. Paul's in there, finds a wallet, looks at it, and is like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I found this wallet. There's $100 in it, and it's full of credit cards. Oh my gosh, the more I look at this, his driver's license is in here, his social security card. I've got all this guy's information. I'm so thankful that I found it, because if somebody else found it in this neighborhood, it may not go so well. You know what I've got to do? This doesn't belong to me. And this guy probably needs it. See, Polio would look at it and be like, this guy's loaded. This isn't even going to affect him or whatever. Paul's like, listen, I've got to, this is this guy's life. This doesn't belong to me. I've got to help him. And look, there's his phone number's not in here, but you know what? His driver's license is in here. So maybe I can go online and I can track it down. And so what does Paul do is he tracks it down, because this doesn't belong to him. And he's going to make sure that this person, Harvey, who he's never met before, is going to be taken care of. Here's what we're understanding here is it's the same neighborhood. It's the same upbringing. It's the same circumstances. It's the same struggle between Paul and Polio. Very different responses. You know why? Because the money is not what corrupts people. It's not what corrupted Polio, and it definitely didn't corrupt Paul. There's something else that's going on. Because there's two different people with the exact same experiences, but two different responses to the exact same situation. If money corrupted people, we get the same outcome for both people, but it doesn't. What it does do is that it shows that Paul has morals, whereas Polio does not. It's that both of them might be in the same financial condition, but that Polio has lack and greed in his heart, but Paul does not. Here's what I want you to understand. If you ever see someone come into money and then they become very selfish and greedy after that, they were always selfish and greedy. We have to understand that there's evil twins that are present. That greedy people that have a lot of money, and people who are in poverty that are holding on, and maybe they don't handle situations like this very well. What we have to understand is that lack is informing both of them. It's just they're evil twins. People who are greedy are like, oh, well, I could never have enough. And this other person is like, oh, well, I may never get this chance where I could possibly ever have money in my life again. So I'm going to hold on to it and I'm going to hoard it. What was it that happened in both of these cases? Money does not corrupt people. But you know what it does do is that it reveals what? It reveals the heart of people. That's what's really taking place. See, if I dared quote Jesus, what he said, it's not what goes in someone that corrupts them, it's what comes out of someone that corrupts them. See, those of you who won't go after money and you think that it's going to corrupt you, you've got a wrong belief about this thing. Is that you keep thinking that you're seeing people who are great everyday people, and then all of a sudden they get money in their hands and it changes them. It does not change them. You know what money does? Here's what money does for the people who get it. Money isn't evil. Here's what it does. You know what it does? Is that it reveals people. Money is a great revealer. We don't have any money. Sometimes it doesn't reveal some of the things that's going on in your heart. Doesn't reveal the way that you would behave in any particular situation and everything else. You know what money does is that it exposes exactly what's truly going on behind the scenes in someone's heart. Give someone money, and the way that they treat people, the way that they treat their family, if they're going to be generous now that they have money compared to what they were before, it's a revealer. We're going to find out what's really below the surface. We're going to find out what's really deeper in there. You know what else money does? Is it exaggerates something. Because the reality is that if we were able to look at someone, like I said, is that greedy people and people who are in dire poverty and act in real lack are really, it's a twin problem. greediness and the poverty spirit is what I would call it, is really the same spirit. One has a bunch of money, the other one has an empty bank account. And they act exactly the same way in that situation. You ever see someone who doesn't have any money and someone offers them the opportunity to help somebody and they're like, I can't do it. I can't even help myself. That's poverty spirit. The same person is not going to suddenly get generous because they have more money. You ever watch some of these interesting videos online where the guys will go up and they'll give money to a homeless person? Or there's this one particular guy on Instagram, and me and my 10-year-old love to watch him. And his name's Jimmy Darts. At least that's the name of his Instagram. And he's always going up to homeless people and giving them things. And he will, but what, you know what he does? He does a generosity test first. He's just kind of like, hey, you know what? I need to get some money for some bus fare. Any chance that you've got some money? And you'll watch these people out of their poverty, that there's a generous spirit because there's still abundance and they will give away. Even though this guy's walking up and he looks clean and he's all clean cut and everything else. And you'll see this thing. See what happens, and then what he'll do is that he will reward people and they don't know it's coming. He will say, I actually didn't need your 37 cents, but here's $500. And you see these moments and everything else. What's happening is that money just exaggerates. So who someone is right now is who they're going to be when they get more money. That's what's true about every one of you. What's true about money is that it's going to magnify what's actually in the heart, because there's certain things and certain behaviors that we have when we don't have any money because we don't have as many options. You know what happens when you get more money? You get more options. And those choices that you're making is not because of the money. It's what's really resident in a person's heart. So this is why it's a great day for you. It's a great day for you to quit battling against yourself and stop self-sabotaging and everything else. Because here's what I really believe about every one of you. What I believe in the coaches that I have met, the very fact that you're concerned about something corrupting you tells me that you've got a great heart. You know what you could do? Like what I'll often do with people just to help them think about dreams and dream up stuff and everything else, because scarcity is a real issue up here for a lot of people, is that a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I'm like, well, if you got $1 million at your bank account tonight, what's the first 5 things that you would do in the morning? And you know what most people end up telling me? Because it's showing what their real heart is. You know what the first thing that most people do is they think about, well, I'd give back. I'd buy a car for my dad. I'd buy a house for my mom. There's my sister. She's got 3 kids and she hasn't had a vacation day in 10 years. And I'm going to make sure that she has a great vacation for her and those kids. Oh, you know what? I have a neighbor and they just really got some bad news and they're really behind in medical bills. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and I'm going to pay their medical bills and everything else. So what we have to understand is that is the test of what our heart really is. Money's neutral. Money is like the internet. The internet is not a bad place. It's all about what you use. You can do some really evil things with the internet, but you can also sell things on eBay. You can also find out about certain causes and you can donate to them. See, there's all of these different things. You know, food's not an evil thing. Food's a great thing. You need it for survival. Money, unfortunately, you're going to need it for survival. You know what? I know plenty of people who do great healthy things with food. And then I know some people who make themselves very sick with food. Doesn't make food corrupt. It's really about what's the lack, what is going on in the heart. And so here's what I'm going to leave you guys with today with regard to this. If you have concerns about this, here's how you overcome this belief. We wrecked it, but here's how you really overcome it. First of all, what I would tell you to do is that in your life right now is that you need to begin to purge your heart. And what do I mean by purging your heart? Well, it means that if you think that something's in there that money could reveal, then we go to town on it. You know how we first have to purge our heart? We have to purge our heart with regard to the lack that we've had. This was the revealer between Paul and Polio. What's the revealer? Is the lack that's actually in their heart. If you have lack in your heart, it usually comes out of some kind of a wound. If you think that money corrupts you, then you probably were impacted somehow by some kind of corrupt person. some kind of difficulty. A lot of times what people have is that they have pain that's associated with money. And a big part of that is lack. And so when it comes to lack that's going on in our life, or lack in the way that we see ourselves and the way that we see other people, you know what? We need to go to work in that area where we're still in pain, where we still got some wounding. Whatever it is, if you won't go after that wound or whatever it is, it's going to keep coming up, and it's going to actually block you from having what you want. Here's another way that you actually purge your heart, is that for some of you, this might be an issue for you. I don't know. If you have any moral issues with regard to money, then you need to deal with them. You know what's a moral issue that people don't want to talk about? I'm not talking about white collar crime or anything else, but the moral issues of, like, for the people who cheat on their taxes, the people who aren't paying their bills. And I know that that might be sensitive for some people, but the reality is that that's a deeper kind of issue that's going on. Why wouldn't we pay our bills? Why wouldn't we pay our taxes? Because we believe that the other people are corrupt, and that I'm justified by not doing something about it. That's a moral issue. And it's going to be really hard for you to demand or require other people to pay you for your services if you're treating other people like that. These are really important things. The wanting to get something for nothing. I'm not saying that any of you have this, but I'm just saying that if there is something that money could corrupt, it's any kind of lack, because lack, a poverty spirit, is greediness in and of itself. Anytime, any way that we devalue other people's work that's done for us, or our own contribution in things, is definitely going to impact whether or not we're going to be able to make money and continue receiving money and receiving a benefit for the things that we actually do. So if you believe, if you have concerns that money could corrupt you, then the only way that it can corrupt you is if there's something that's actually going on in your heart. But like I said, I think most of you are gold. I think most of you are crushing it in this area in your life. So you don't have anything to worry about it. What you can say, if you want to have your own mantra, is to say, as I make more money, I want more money so that I can be more generous. I want more money so that I can be more generous to my kids, because it's not about money. It's about what money represents. I want to have more freedom in my life. I want to say yes to some of the dreams for my spouse. I want to do better than one. I want to leave something for my children. All of these different things, these are the things that need to be our focus, because the focus really isn't about money. I don't care about money. I care about what it represents and the good that I can do. The world that I can change through the fact that I can say yes. I want more money so that if anybody ever asks me for something, that I can help them. There's this old story of this guy who decided that the calling in his life was to help orphans. And it's a crazy story of how provision would actually happen for him and those orphans. He had a whole house full of orphans, and there was one day that there was no food to feed these kids. And he says, let's do what we always do. I want you to bring all the orphans in here. I want you to put them at the table, and I'm just going to pray. We're going to pray and expect something to happen. And he prays, and you know what happens? There was a knock at the door. And this is set a long time ago, and there was a milk wagon that had broken its wheel, and it says, I have all this milk that I was supposed to be delivering, but we have no milk, and it's going to spoil. Can you guys use the milk? And you know what the guy did? He was like, yes, we can use the milk. And you know what? All of those orphans have milk. And then a little while later, there was actually a person who stopped by, had all this bread that was about to go bad and everything else. And so the short story is that he kept getting knocks on the door until everybody was taken care of. And I love that story. And I love the faith that's behind it and everything else. But you know who I want to be? And I think that this is probably who you want to be. You don't want to be the person praying the prayer. You want to be the person answering the prayer. I want to be the person knocking on the door. I don't know about you. And this is what money allows us to do, is to be the answer to other people's prayers. I think that is really, I think that that's what God would want for us, is for us to be in a position so that we can say yes to people and actually help them. This is what my hope is for you. This is the first week talking about bad money beliefs that keep you broke And I hope that you'll share this with other people. I hope this was inspiring and helpful. Let me pay the bills really quickly. Speaking of money, for those of you who have not gotten trained and certified as a coach and you've been thinking about it, well, you can get trained and certified as a coach and get business development help for only $97 a month. Now, most programs that are out there are costing in the thousands just to get trained and certified. We've worked very hard over the last 10 years to never up our price, and we never have. We've never upped our price on our training and certification or anything else. We've shown up where people wanted to build a business, and not just any business, but a six-figure business that was built on helping people, serving, living into our purpose and calling, and really upping the high water mark for all people. That's what coaching really is. And at the same time that it opens up the doors for you financially, opens the door freedom for your family and also for your time and all of those other things. In our Jumpstart program, it's $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment. It's not a lot of money. Most schools, just to train and certify people, charge thousands of dollars. Ours is $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment. That's the price of Starbucks, $3.25 a day. Not only do you get trained and certified, you get a live online weekend boot camp where you can actually knock out your certification in a single weekend. The entire weekend is live. There's Q&As at the end of every one of those sessions. At the same time that we're teaching you coaching competencies, we're also doing a live Q&A to make sure that you really firmly get those things. And you know what? Every boot camp's a little bit different because the questions are always a little bit different. You'll learn a lot about developing your business and everything else, while at the same time building a relationship with other coaches and also seeing role-playing coaching demos and everything else as far as that weekend is concerned. But the big thing about Jumpstart is that there actually is a business development program. We give you the A to Z on how to develop your business, how to discover your target market, how to discover your niche, how to attract clients. Really, what we are about is teaching you the step-by-step, giving you the step-by-step, and also the support to be able to be successful in this business. Now, part of it is up here. I understand that. We go after belief systems and everything else, but you know what? You're not doing it alone. We give you the how-to steps, but we're also in a community of coaches. So we have an online community, and all these coaches always connect with one another all the time, but they also connect with me live on a Wednesday call where I answer all of your coaching questions, any challenges that you're having. If you want feedback on anything that you're working on, whether it's your website or coaching session or anything else, we make sure that you're not alone in any step of the way. The community is extraordinary, brilliant people who are out there serving one another, and they're always celebrating one another. We also have Brand Camp that is all about marketing messaging. We also have the coaching product launch blueprint that we're actually finishing up over the next couple of weeks, but that's also going to be added to your student dashboard as well. When you enroll in 90 seconds, you have access to every one of the things that I told you in about 90 seconds, and it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of training. You'll never get through all of it. It's all about trying to give you the steps and the support that you need so you're not doing this alone and that you can actually crush it. And we've been really successful. You know, I'm not afraid to tell people that I went through all of these belief systems, all of these struggles and major setbacks before I started a coaching practice. So I know that these things work, and we're watching our coaches really make it happen and making it work. And so that link is inside the description. If you want to enroll, it'll take you about 90 seconds to do that. Let me say hello to a few people who are on here. Do me a huge favor, like this post, share it. Also throw in the comments, is there a belief that you want me to tackle over the next few weeks? And if I don't already have it, then I'll help you do it. Becca's in Canada, Nina in Ohio, and oh wait, Nina from Georgia. Okay, Tara's joining us from Vegas, Leslie from Cincinnati. Awesome. Let me see, who else do I need to say hello? Oh, I appreciate that. Thank God for you, Harvey. You're amazing. And I see Just Me says, thankful for biblical principles that are shared here. Thank you for that. There's Kimberly. How's it going, Kimberly? Greg made it. How's it going, Greg? Awesome. Who else do I need to say hello to? There's Raz. How's it going, Raz? Teresa's saying, I love that story. Thank you. Joan says, I love the idea of being an answer to someone else's prayers. Thank you. Tara says, me too. I love being the answer to people's prayers, and thank you, Joan, for being the answer to my prayers today. Oh, y'all are so great. Awesome. Diane said the story is about George Mueller from the 1900s. Yes, it was about George Mueller. Ebony says, this was good. I want to be blessed financially so I can bless others. So awesome. Harvey says, Jumpstart has jump-started my heart. Ebony says, Harvey is the greatest of all time. So excited about your journey. Lynette says, Jumpstart has given me such confidence to go after my dream. And Greg says that Jumpstart is family is more like it. Yeah, that's true. See who else I need to say hello. Excellent messages today, Paul, especially that we aspire to be the person knocking on the door. Thank you. Kanisha from Lansing, Michigan. So good. All right, everybody. Hey, if anybody has any beliefs that they know are in the way, throw them in the comments. I'm going to be unpacking this series over the next handful of weeks. And even if this week we're like, well, I don't really relate to that one, you're probably going to relate to a future one, or you know someone who will. Share the heck out of this video for people that you do know that are struggling, that they're not thriving financially, that they're not thriving in their life. And turn them on to it. Say, you know what, this is going on for the next handful of weeks, and I really think that you can benefit. For those of you who have clients, you are going to have clients who are going to be running into these things, and they're going to be self-sabotaging. You're going to want to have some of the things that I give you so that you'll be able to share that with clients and everything else. Who else do I need to say hello to? Willie from Whitty, Texas. Bart says, you're good peeps, Paul. Good stuff. Unlike that douche, Polio. Oh, I love it. All right. Well, on that note, probably a good time to get out of here, huh? Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Tomorrow is Power Lunch. And if you join our Power Lunch group, you can actually see it on this page. I go live on Zoom. So I'll be doing that during lunchtime tomorrow. That is 10 a.m. Pacific. That's noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you'd like to join us, you'll have to register to join the Zoom, but the Zoom also will be streamed live on a couple of channels as well. It's actually going to publish live inside of our Power Lunch group. So it's the Power Lunch coaching community. It's my new community that just started over the last week. So you can click in there, join for free, connect with other coaches. And we're just, we're building community and we're figuring out better ways to continue to serve you. So you can jump in there. So anyway, listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. I will see you in the morning. Take care.